So I want to start with, and this is going to sound kind of awkward given the topic, but I still want to start by asking you to share one thing that you're grateful for. Put in the comments section below one thing that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for everyday citizens coming together to help one another and to help those in need. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. So share with me something that you're grateful for. Wendy's grateful for love. Beautiful. Just anything that you're grateful for in the comments section. I think if any time we need it is now. So let's just share some gratitudes, and then we can all kind of get that tag team high off of each other as we share those gratitudes. So what I want to talk about tonight, and Wanda's grateful for today. Hey, Wanda. Debbie's grateful for family and friends. Love it. Thank you, Debbie. Diane, thankful for getting up in the morning and my cats. Yes, my cats. I have 2 cats. They're sisters from the same litter. They make me laugh every single day. Sometimes they make me annoyed every single day. Oh, Melissa's grateful for cuddling with Kaya. Is she cuddling with you?
Yep, she's on my lap.
Yeah, so Kaya went to Melissa and is on her lap. I could tell by her body language. She's bumping up against me. She wanted to cuddle. But I'm just not available. And honestly, she usually prefers Melissa anyway, so it's good that she's over there. Teresa's grateful for my crazy family. Susan's grateful for a 5-day visit from a good friend. Oh, that's nice. Joy, that my broken arm is healing. Oh, Joy, I'm glad. Gosh. Sarah, I'm grateful for people who care about each other. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, those are just some beautiful gratitudes to start with as we talk about things tonight. After sharing those gratitudes, thanks, Jamie. Jamie's grateful for my show. I do just want to take an intentional moment to just spend a moment of quiet. And I invite everyone who's watching this to just do the same. As I sit here quietly, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to sit here quietly. Send love, light, and prayers to whomever you feel needs it. Whether it's Las Vegas or Puerto Rico or Texas or Florida or the West Coast or all the countries in the world, all the people in the world. If you know someone personally who could use some love and prayers, just join me for the next few moments, and let's just collectively bring together energy of love and healing. Okay, so come on back when you feel ready. For me, when I closed my eyes and I was trying to imagine, where do I want to pour my love and my energy to, I pictured the whole globe, actually, and I pictured a bright white light enveloping the entire planet, because that's what it feels like is needed right now. Yeah. So Trish is grateful for Tom Petty's music. Yeah, me too. That was another shocker. Rest in peace, Tom Petty. So sad to see his passing today, too. Melissa probably doesn't even know that, and she's a big Tom Petty fan. She probably doesn't... Yeah. Yeah, she didn't hear. So he was found. He was in a cardiac arrest, and he was found and wasn't breathing at the time and was brought to the hospital and put on life support and then was removed. So, yeah, rest in peace, Tom Petty. Some powerful music he shared with us. It's a tough day, right? I mean, God, it's just I was thinking of a completely different topic for tonight, and I thought, no, this is what we need to do. I'll be completely honest with you. I was hesitant to come together and talk about the difficult stuff in the world because I don't want this to turn into a political debate, and I don't want it to turn into a gun law debate. There's enough of that online. If you want to engage in those kinds of conversations, it's totally fine. I'm not saying that your opinion is not valid. It is. But my intention here tonight for all of us is to come together from a real place of love, and compassion and understanding, which is difficult. So, what I want to say is that there's just been way too much heartache in the world in a very short period of time, from hurricanes to floods to earthquakes to wildfires to mass shootings to hate and anger being spewed on a daily basis or all day long. Our planet is hurting. Our collective hearts are breaking. And so how do you reconcile going about your day when there's so much pain and tragedy in the world? It's not easy, right? So I want to talk, it sounds, so strategic and practical, but I want to talk about some ways that we can take care of our hearts and our spirits and our worrying minds. This is the kind of intangible, invisible part of the clutter work that I do, is when you think about, a worrying mind as clutter or pain in your heart, and how can you tend to this kind of clutter in a way that doesn't seem like it would relate, but this type of clearing that's required is exactly the type of approach to clutter that I encourage people to take, this gentle, loving, compassionate approach. I find that when, I'm looking over here just to make sure I'm not missing anything, I find that when difficult stuff like this happens in the world, the horrible shooting attack in Las Vegas, or the hurricanes or earthquakes, our tendency is to intellectualize it. And I think that's why people tend to go online and debate and blame and get really angry. Believe me, I'm guilty of it. I cannot know what to do with my emotions around it. And so my injustice rage comes up, and I can jump online and, just want to yell my opinion. And I think it's okay to share your thoughts online. What's difficult, for me included, is to do it with an intention of productivity. How can it be helpful? Instead of pointing fingers of blame, making someone else wrong, tearing someone else down, how can we motivate and energize people to make change in the world? There's let me see if I can find it. There's a quote from Wayne Dyer that I shared on my Facebook page today. And this I want you to think of as really the theme for our conversation tonight. Let me see it here. Come on. Facebook never wants to go. Okay, yeah. So this is the quote from Wayne Dyer. You get world peace through inner peace. If you've got a world of people who have inner peace, then you have a peaceful world. So I'm going to repeat that because I feel like it's really powerful and really encapsulates what I'm saying here tonight. You get world peace through inner peace. If you've got a world of people who have inner peace, then you have a peaceful world. God, it is so powerful, right, Jamie? It's like, that really says it all. So if we can take care of our own inner peace, each and every one of us can tend to our own inner peace, then we have a peaceful world. It's hurt people, right? So not all hurt people, but people who hurt people are hurt. So if we focus on doing what we can do, what we need to do to create inner peace, then our world will become peaceful as a result. But it takes individual work. And sometimes that's not something we're willing to do, so we want to blame others and we want to point fingers. So when faced with something like the tragedy and the attack, and however you want to word it, some are calling it a tragedy, an attack, a mass shooting. It's all the same thing. So let's not get caught up on semantics. The fact is, it was a horrendous attack last night on on just regular people who are out enjoying a show. So when we're faced with something like this, our tendency is to try to make sense of it. I think we subconsciously believe that if we can make sense of it, if we can intellectualize it, then we don't have to feel the pain. So if we subconsciously believe that if we succumb to our feelings about it, they just might be too much to handle. And so we intellectualize, we point fingers, we politicize, we do anything we can do to get ourselves away from the feelings. Yeah, Debbie, right? Of course Wayne Dyer would say that, right? Beautiful, beautiful way of seeing things. Yeah, if you go to I think someone said that they were looking for the post. If you go to facebook.com/CarrieCoach, you'll see there's a graphic image of the world with a quote from Wayne Dyer on it. And I think, if you wanted to share that, that's where you'll find it. So, I think we think that that's a way we protect ourselves from our feelings, is let me intellectualize this. Let me think about it. Let me analyze it. I think that's why we get so addicted to the news. It's like, let me watch every news story I can about this. Not because we're martyrs or we want to, hear the horrific tales. But I know for me, I tend to go to the news because I on some level, I just want someone to explain to me how this can happen. Why does this happen? Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Why does it happen? Give me a reason why so I can understand it, so then I can do something to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? So, yes, there's action we can take to make sure that this doesn't happen again, or we can have our voice be heard. There's certain things we can do, but I think we tend to look outside of ourselves to what we can do. But I think if we start with inside of ourselves, so, I found myself wanting to, lash out at certain, I wanted to politicize it today, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to, these people were just having a great time at a show. It reminded me of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. They were just at a club, having a great time, dancing, celebrating, and someone came in and just ruined it, ruined it all. And that's how it was. What I see last night is, but the thing is, there's no making sense out of a senseless situation. We sure try though, right? Opinions and arguments and debates fly around social media. Some saying the focus should stay on the victims and their families. Others use it as a time to push political leanings and beliefs. Some offer their versions of solutions to prevent this from happening again. And I get it. I totally get it. And there's no real right way to respond to tragedy, right? There's only your way. And if your way of responding to something as tragic as what happened in Las Vegas last night doesn't make you feel good, then I encourage you to revise your way. So there's no right way to respond to tragedy. There's your way to respond to it. And try to be sure, and I have to work on this too, try to be sure that your way is a way that makes you feel empowered, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel strong. It's kind of like, there's nothing like a tragedy that brings people together. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but the lines for people to donate blood in Las Vegas are just extensive. So as horrific as it is when things like this happen, hurricanes, earthquakes, shootings, people come together. So it's almost like tragedy collapses the ego and connects us to our hearts, right? So how can we make it so we don't need the tragedy to connect us to our hearts? How can we practice that on a more regular basis so it doesn't take something like this to bring us to our knees? If people don't react the way we do or the way we think they should, they can quickly become the enemy. And again, we're just looking to direct our anger somewhere, but the last thing the world needs is more enemies and more anger. It's this us versus them mentality that is a tenet of hate. It disconnects us from one another and desensitizes us from the pain we cause each other. So the more we divide, and the more we focus on this us versus them, me versus you, I'm right, you're wrong, the more desensitized we get from the fact that we are all human beings on this planet doing the very best we can. You know, when tragedy like this strikes, when an attack like this happens and people line up to donate blood, or people, rush to help others, all of those differences just collapse. And it's no longer about, are they peacefully protesting, or are they, disrespecting the flag? It's like, listen, live and let live. Like we have this, again, I believe it comes from a place of fear. When we want everyone to think, behave, and believe the way we do, it's because we just want that person to, to kind of be like us, right? It makes it easier that way. It can make it so that we don't have to really feel what it is we think we need to feel, or what we are feeling, right? Just want to make sure my computer just froze up, so just give me 1 second, please, while I figure out why my computer is freezing. Okay, thank you. Come on. Okay. Sorry, it's just my computer is refreshing here, so just give me 1 second. One moment. Okay. Sorry, it's just coming back now. Okay, it just refreshed. There we go. It was all frozen for me again. So I can remember, so when I think about people coming together, right? Coming together to support one another. I remember 5 years ago, Melissa and I were on our way. I forget where we were going, but we were on our way and we were stopped at a rest area on the Massachusetts Turnpike. Hey, Catherine, thanks for coming. We were on our way somewhere, and we were at a rest area on the Mass Turnpike. This was 5 years ago. And just as we were about to go inside to use the restroom, the news came on the radio about the Sandy Hook shooting. And we both just sat there and cried. And I thought, oh my God, how do you make sense of this? And you can't, right? You can't make sense of it. But as we're both sitting there and crying, I looked up, and so the car that was parked facing us, I looked straight ahead, and I see that the woman in the driver's seat of that car is crying. And so I look away to give her privacy, right? And the next thing I know, she's coming out of her car, and she's coming over to the passenger window where I'm sitting, and she taps on the window. And I rolled down my window, and I just kind of look at her, and she said, "Sandy Hook?" as she's crying. And I said, "Yeah." And she took my hand, and I remember the three of us sat there and we cried. And she said, "I just don't understand it." She said, "I have children that age, and who would want to shoot children?" And, here was this stranger who just felt so compelled, who, we saw each other crying, and she just felt so compelled to come out of her car and come take my hand. And she wanted to feel connected. She was alone in her car. I was so, even now I can picture her face, and I was so glad that she felt strong enough or comfortable enough or courageous enough, whatever the word is, to get out of her car, come over and look, connect with us. She wanted to be with someone, and so we spent some time with her. And it's that kind of humanity, right, that comes together and takes down all of those walls that we put up between ourselves. I mean, it was so beautiful. I mean, although we sat there in disbelief and we cried, it was a beautiful moment of just humanity coming together. Like, I don't understand, like, why we can't do this all the time. Why does it take such tragedy? You often hear someone say, like, when the country is so divided, think back to who we were on September 12th, 2001. Remember that moment on September 12th, 2001, the day after 9/11, when that was the most united I think we've ever felt as a country. We were all coming together to just love and support one another. So I think it's a beautiful testament of how love connects and how hate and anger divide. So during a time when things feel so unsettled and there's a lot of hate being expressed in the world, it can be tough to pull out the love, right? I just want to make sure I'm not missing any comments here, because I want this to be a conversation. So, Debbie, yes, we want to figure it out. We do. There is no way to intellectualize these actions, yet I still ask the why question. It's so true, right? It's like, we can't think our feelings. And we can't really feel our thoughts, although our thoughts can make us feel a certain way, but we can't rationalize feelings. Diane, someone told me if you hold the door and smile and say, have a good day, it will change a person a day. I love that, even if they are having a bad day. Today I held a door and this woman said it made her day. It's okay if you cry, don't be sorry, Carrie. Thanks, Diane. Yeah, that's a perfect example, Diane, like holding the door open for someone. It's such a simple act. I know that I'm incredibly grateful when someone does that for me. It always feels like such a kind gesture. Like smiling at strangers. I know all of this can sound so frivolous and so insignificant, but it really can change someone's day, like Diane was saying. William Marie, I heard some people were calling pizza places near the hospitals to have them delivered to the nurses and doctors. It's beautiful. Like anything we can do. That's a great idea, Leah Marie. Like for someone who's not close in geographic proximity to Las Vegas, what a great thing to do to be able to help from a distance, to support all of the caregivers and the first responders. And when I think about like tragedies, really, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Tragedies really do bring out the best in us. So why can't that best be brought out in us every day? Instead of just during the tragedy. So, I think about it. I'm going to share a few examples with you in hopes of inspiring you that there are people out there. There are so many people out there doing amazing things for those who are struggling. When I think about Las Vegas, for instance, and I think about the lines and lines and lines of people who want to donate blood, who just want to do whatever they can to help. That's who we are as a human species. We do operate from a place of love. We just forget sometimes. Or when the hurricane hit Texas, and so much flooding and so much devastation, a friend of mine, some of you may follow her on Facebook, Karen McCrocklin, she has been incredibly inspiring. She took the lead. She started a GoFundMe she's from Dallas. She started a GoFundMe for the people in Houston. And she raised, over $25,000. And what was so cool is she would, on her Facebook profile, which anyone could access, but she also gave updates in the GoFundMe page, she would post photos and updates about exactly where the donations were going. And I loved that. So, I chose to donate to her GoFundMe instead of an organization that has a lot of administrative costs. I know her. I trust her. I know she was working directly with the fire department lieutenant in Houston, and so was getting a list all the time of exactly what was needed. I saw pictures and videos of her and her friends setting up, function tables and handing out sandwiches to families who hadn't gotten any support or relief yet. So there's people like Karen in the world. There's people like the musician Pitbull and the music producer Pitbull, or that Shark Tank investor, Mark Cuban. They both used their private planes to get down to Puerto Rico. They brought their planes down there to deliver supplies, and then they used the planes to carry patients back to the mainland, to hospitals for cancer patients who needed chemo. But, all the hospitals in Puerto Rico were without power. They were out of diesel. Their generators were running out. People were dying because they didn't have gas. I mean, crazy stuff. So there's people like Pitbull and Mark Cuban in the world. Those are a few examples of like everyday people and then celebrities who are really rising up to do their part. So what I want to say is, when stuff like this happens, and even when it doesn't, like, if every day, and believe me, I have to try to remember this too, if we can find a way to perform an act of kindness for someone, holding the door open, smiling at a stranger, something I do a lot I do more now ever since my father passed. He was always someone, he was the kind of guy who would, like, we always joke around with the same examples, like, he would chase the garbage men or the waste management engineers down the street to give them a tip and to thank them for picking up the trash every week. Or he always tipped, the gas station attendant when there used to be full-serve gas stations. He always just liked to slip a little extra to people. That's how he showed his gratitude. And so, like, now, anytime I go through a Dunkin' Donuts, which for those of you who aren't familiar with Dunkin' Donuts, what's wrong with you? No, if you're not in the country, I pay for the person behind me and take off before they can thank me or anything, or because that's in honor of my father. So, stuff like that, whether it is holding a door, paying for the next person's coffee, just smiling at a stranger, these little acts of kindness. I think back, there was a stretch of time there that I would often post on Twitter a random act of kindness challenge for the day. And I'm going to go back to doing that. I'll do it on my Facebook page. I'll have it go on Twitter as well. Because sometimes we just don't think of it, and sometimes we just can't think of an example of what kind of act of kindness, what's an easy act of kindness we could perform today. So I have a whole list of random acts of kindness examples. So I'm going to post one a day. So follow my Facebook page to help inspire you, hopefully, to just give you an example or an idea of something you could do that day. Something really simple. How nice would it be to just buy a bouquet of flowers at the grocery store and just leave it on your neighbor's doorstep, or leave it on a neighbor's doorstep who maybe you don't know. And just with a little note, an anonymous note that just says, thought these might brighten your day. What's unfortunate, as I say that, I think, God, in our world today, is someone going to be scared at finding a bouquet of flowers on their doorstep that they weren't expecting? Or are they going to be sketched out? Are they going to think that there's a creeper? Whereas before it would just be like, oh my gosh, that was so nice. But you know what? I say take the risk. So, let's see how we can do these random acts of kindness as often as possible, because I do believe that it makes a difference. And I do believe very much in that quote by Wayne Dyer, which once I can scroll to it, I'm going to say it one more. And then I want to hear from all of you what your thoughts are, what your feelings are. So once again, that Wayne Dyer quote is, you get world peace through inner peace. If you've got a world of people who have inner peace, then you have a peaceful world. So for me, random acts of kindness give me inner peace. But I'm going to look for other ways that I can find inner peace for myself. So that's the kind of energy I want to exude out for people. And to be completely frank and honest, for a good long stretch, I haven't had a lot of inner peace for a variety of reasons that are irrelevant at this juncture. But I know that I've been walking in the world with exuding some feelings, some energy of positivity and peace. But there have also been plenty of times where I'm just feeling unsettled in myself that I know that comes off to people. So I'm going to commit here live to you, and I hope you'll join me, that I am going to do some intentional work on shoring up my own inner peace so I can connect more authentically and more deeply with people on a daily basis. Because as rattled and shaken up as the world is, peace really does have to start with yourself, right? It has to start with me. I can't sit by and wait for the world to change in order for me to find peace. I've got to get it for myself. So I want to hear from you all. What are your thoughts with how do you take care of your worrying mind and your heart and your soul when things are so difficult? One other little piece I'll say as I'm waiting to read some of your comments is, I wrote this in my newsletter last week, the kind of practical strategies of identifying when your worrying is productive and when it's unproductive. So worrying is productive when you can do something about it, when there is actual action steps you can take to make things better. And the example I gave in my newsletter was, let's say that I'm worried about my health. I can take action on that. I can go to the doctors and get a physical. I can eat better and exercise more. That's productive worrying because I can do something about it, right? Unproductive worrying is worrying that only exists to drive you nuts. So unproductive worrying would be like, let's say at that doctor's appointment, I had some tests done and I'm waiting to find out the results of the test. And I'm worrying, like, oh my God, what if it's bad news? Did I wait too long to get this looked at? That's unproductive worrying. I've done everything I can. I've gone to the doctors. I've had the tests. Nothing else I can do but wait for the results. So that's unproductive worrying. That's worrying that is not serving me or anyone any good. So when you think about that, when you think about taking care of your mind and your heart and your soul, checking in to see, is my worrying productive or is it unproductive? The news will give you lots of unproductive worrying. So be selective. Maria says, we really are more alike than different. It's so true. Just wish more people realized it, right? It's like, I remember reading a quote online once that said, if only when we looked at each other, we saw each other's souls instead of each other's outsides, what a difference the world would be. If you could really see each other's hearts and souls and what makes them up as a person instead of their physical shell, what a difference it would be, right? Yeah, share kindness, treat others how you want to be treated. Simple yet so difficult for some. It really is. I think that it really is difficult, because I think about that. Treat others how you want to be treated. I think I do that for the most part, but there are certainly times that I can get really nasty and I can and I wouldn't want people to treat me that way, but I know that when I get into that space, it's because I'm hurting or I'm scared. That's how my pain and fear present itself, is through anger, abruptness. And so it's like sometimes like Melissa knows that if I'm getting testy or pissy, she knows me well enough now to know that something else is going on. And she knows enough to ask me, like, hey, what's going on? Like, geez, you seem a little short tonight. Like, what's happening? And so she knows to ask in a way that doesn't charge me up more, but that breaks down that anger wall, and I get to say, God, well, I just feel really scared. After that shooting, that can happen anywhere to any of us. Like, it's like after the shooting happened in the movie theater, people didn't want to go to the movies, and I can understand it. And I can't believe that I'm sitting here rattling off examples of shootings. Like, it's easily. Yeah, like easily. I mean, why is it such the norm? Why is this okay? Like, when is enough enough? And again, like I said at the top of the call, of the meeting, I don't know what the right answer is. I know it's multi-layered. There's so much to it, but I'm like, when I think back to that woman in the parking lot of the Mass Pike Rest area when Sandy Hook happened, if the massacre of children wasn't enough for us to stop and go, what the heck is going on here? I don't know what it's going to take. And because it is so layered, there's so many layers to it. Like, we don't know if it's like, you know, there's the mental illness layer, there's the gun law layer, there's so many layers to it. Who knows what the right answer is? So that's why I feel like when you feel helpless and when you feel like you just don't know what to do, start with kindness. As tough as it is, start with kindness, start with peace in yourself. Loving acts of kindness that's something we can be in charge of, right? I can go out tomorrow and very intentionally do something kind for someone. Like, I just think if everyone did that, would fulfill that Wayne Dyer quote. Yeah. Did I miss anything here, Melissa?
Yeah. Are you seeing?
Sorry, I'm not seeing all the comments. I'm just asking.
Sarah said she'll travel with you in that journey.
Oh, nice. All right, I'm going to quit out of my video here and come back in. Facebook doesn't refresh comments at all, so
Yeah, there's a bunch.
I gotta go out and come in. Okay. Then it puts it in all different orders. I read the pizza one. Hold the door. Hold on 1 second.
You want my computer?
Yeah. Because I'm just gonna have Melissa bring her. Oh wait. Okay, I think I'm seeing some.
Start with that Maria Rounds one.
The Serenity Prayer.
Nope. I find happiness in helping others or doing something for others and not letting them know it was me.
Got it. Okay, Maria, thank you. All right, the comments are all out of order, so I think I've got them here. Maria says, I find happiness in helping others or doing something for others and not letting them know it was me. It's fun, right? It's so fun. Spread the love. Thank you, Sarah, for your willingness to travel with me on that journey. It's going to take all of us, right? It's going to take all of us. V. Hi, Carrie. Jumped in late here, but here I am. Welcome. If I think about kindness often throughout a day or when I just sit in a kind place, even that feels beautiful. Yes. Then random acts of kindness seem to happen for me, from me, and to me. It's so true. Like, where was I just... I think it was... I can't remember if it was the last time we were at the beach. I was somewhere recently, and I remember distinctly thinking about how everyone's energy there was really positive, and it must have been the beach, because, I mean, hello, the beach. But really, I distinctly remember that people made eye contact, people walked by us and commented. We have these cool, like, air loungers that we use on the beach, and so people stop and comment about them and ask us about them. So, like, strangers make conversation. So similar to what you're saying, V, when you're in a beautiful place or in a place that makes you feel peaceful, happy, inspired, people just tend to be kinder to one another. So that's saying a lot, right? Like, how can we put ourselves in a place more, not even a physical space, but even a mental space? How can we put ourselves in a space more to inspire that kind of joyful connection? So, yeah, Maria, the Serenity Prayer helps my worry. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Powerful prayer. Yes, that's a really good one, Maria. And when you really sit with that prayer and break that down, it's like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, like to really accept those things, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That, like the Wayne Dyer quote, says it all. It's like, we've got to slow down enough, though, to identify when it's something we can change, when it's something we can't, and to seek that wisdom to know the difference. So powerful. Jamie, I changed my last post. I didn't see your last post. I will be more deliberate in asking myself what my intention is before I post things. I didn't see the post, but okay. Okay, good. Debbie, if someone is acting nasty, I think to myself, I don't know what they're going through and try my best to be good to them. Yeah, Debbie, that's that beautiful, compassionate listening, right? If we can practice more of that, I try to remember that myself. If someone's being really nasty, I have this silly little mantra that I use, and I don't know if my mother is on here. She probably couldn't get on.
I don't think so.
Good, because it has a curse word in it, and she doesn't like when I curse on Facebook Live. But my little mantra is, she's not an asshole, she's just wounded. So when someone's acting nasty, or being nasty to me, or just being nasty in general, that's when that's my silent way, or not so silent now because I shared it with you all, that I get myself in check. Like, she's not an asshole. She's just, she might be being nasty. She's just wounded. There's something going on there. Sometimes in my head I sing it to the tune of He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Go ahead. I know you're all singing it now. She's not an asshole. She's just wounded. Melissa joins in. But really, it's like, that's my fast track way to get to the compassionate listening place of like, wait a minute, I bet you there's something more going on. I don't believe for a second that anyone just wakes up one day and says, how can I screw with people? How can I make them miserable? Even someone who does something as horrific as the shooting in Las Vegas, I don't believe he woke up yesterday morning and went, I think I'm going to do this horrible act. There was something that came before it. And so, yes, I do believe if we can just hold the door for people, smile, be compassionate when someone gets nasty or defensive, know that, anger is the layer on top of pain. And so if you can help someone through that anger, you're going to get to the real truth of the pain. Did I hit them all, Melissa? Let me quit. I'm going to jump out again and come back in because...
Jamie was off to the show.
Oh, Jamie, have a great show.
She said she's feeling better. Thanks for the uplifting show.
Amy
Conroy says...
Hey, Amy.
I try to see the white light around someone. That's what helps me get through it.
Oh, I love that, Amy. Yeah, that's... when I was talking at the beginning of this, you may not have been here. Yeah, I do the same thing with seeing white light. And so when I close my eyes and try to get to that place of peace, like at this particular moment in time at least, I envision the entire planet and I envision a big ball of white light around it, like that we just need some healing. So I love that. Thanks. Jamie, I'm glad you're feeling better. Have a great show. Bring some I'm glad you're doing a comedy show. People need those laughs. So hugs right back to you from the USA. I think Melissa's bringing me comments. Okay. Okay. V says, I'm also sharing the simple thing to my little grandkids to always be kind. I'm going to close this and just look from this computer. They will even say this if they're telling me about some annoying person, typical child things. I think V's going to say more, but... Oh, you're welcome, Mary. Do you like that little earworm? I also call it a song bomb. Yeah, so now you're going to now you're going to be singing He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother all night. You're welcome. And maybe you'll be singing She's Not an Asshole, She's Just Wounded to that tune. You're welcome. Okay. I love that, V, that you just, sharing that with the grandkids, just always be kind. Like, just be kind. Love it. Humble and Kind is my favorite song by Tim McGraw. I'll have to check that out, Amy. I don't know that. Debbie, I just lost my cousin who was the most compassionate person. Now I aim to live more like her in her memory. Beautiful, Debbie. I'm so sorry to hear about your cousin. I truly am. It's so difficult, but what a beautiful tribute to her, or him, or her, you said. What a beautiful tribute to her to walk more in kindness. That's like when my dad passed. I'm like, you know what? His natural his nature of generosity will remain beyond his physical presence leaving this body, because his legacy, who are all of his children and all of the people who he ever touched, I know carry more kindness in their heart because they knew him. So same thing with your cousin. Every single person your cousin touched has more kindness in their heart because of their experience with her. So I love the idea of you carrying on that legacy. Yeah, she would love it that way. Yep. I bet you she and my dad are up there like doing all sorts of random acts of kindness together in heaven. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, okay, good. All right, I think I got everyone's comment. If I missed your comment, I apologize. Like I said, I'll go back through and reread. Facebook can be just a little wonky sometimes with the comments. But as we wrap up here, I just want to remind you all, I know that when this kind of stuff happens in the world, and just with the way the world is right now, it's easy to just want to bury your head, or to just get lost in the news, or to just lash out. But clearly, that's not working, because things are just getting more and more out of control. So whatever we can do individually to bring more peace to ourselves, then results in bringing more peace to the planet. So join me in doing our best every day to find peace and to be kind. And like I said, I'm going to queue up a bunch of random acts of kindness examples on my Facebook page, facebook.com/carrycoach. So hopefully it can inspire you to, I'll challenge you to take that act of kindness and do it that day. I'll make them nice and easy. But like someone shared earlier on, just holding the door for someone has an incredible impact on their day. You just have no idea. So thanks everybody for being here, for being willing to be part of this conversation. And yeah, I wish you all peace and I wish you all love. So we'll talk again next week at this same time. Take good care, everybody. Bye.